Bueno, hola y bienvenidos.
Okay, so hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here with us today to learn about the resources, the food resources for the immigrant community in Colorado. My name is Anya Rose, and I'm the manager of public policy of Hunger Free Colorado. And I'm here today with my colleagues Cristina and Zaira of our client services, but also with Victoria Aguilar from the public resources at Denver. And the plan for today is to look at what public charge is. Perhaps you have heard about this in the past few years, and we'll be talking about a little bit of context about why there were so many rumors. We will also be talking about who it
Y mensajes clave.
applies to, what programs are impacted, and what are the key messages to share with your community. We will also be looking at the resources that are available to the immigrant community in Colorado, including SNAP, and how to connect with these programs. Then we will also be hearing from Victoria with Human Resources through Denver about some of the resources that are available through the counties. And finally, we will also have a section for Q&A. A quick note, we are recording this meeting and we will be sending to all the people, the recording to all the people that register to the meeting. This will also be a bilingual meeting with both slides in English and Spanish. Before continuing, I'm going to share this discharge of responsibility. This is not a legal advice presentation. I am not a lawyer. So if you have any particular questions about your situation, please contact with someone that you trust, an immigration attorney. You can find some options at immigrationlawhelp.org. And it's always a good idea to talk with an immigration attorney before applying for any advice. Okay, so let's begin. So what is public charge? Some people that apply for lawful permanent resident status or a green card, or that apply for a visa to enter the US, they must pass what is called a public charge test. This test analyzes if it's likely that the person depends mainly of the government services in the future. And this is a part of the law that is not new. The concept of public charge has been part of immigration law in this country in one way for more than 100 years. So the law nowadays is made to analyze whether the person that is doing the application will be relying on the services, or if this person, and if it's indicated by the government that this person will be relying on those services, the government may accept or deny their application. But if this concept is not new, why are we talking about it now? And why has it been in the news lately for the past couple of years? And the reason is because Trump's administration tried to change the rules for public charge to make it more accessible and to include other housing programs and other services such as SNAP and Medicaid. This change brought up many tension in this area of work, but even if most of the immigrants that apply for these programs, they don't face the test of public charge, the change of rule, understandably, created fear, confusion, and the lack of enrollment in the programs. A lot of people didn't try to access these programs that they were eligible for out of fear that it might affect their immigration status or the state of a member of the family. And this effect is usually called a chilling effect. The good news is that those changes in public charge that Trump initiated are no longer in effect. March 9th of this year, Biden's administration and the federal courts blocked these harmful changes from the Trump administration. And at the federal level, the rule is back to how it was before. That is, having a very small reach and only considers two types of services: effective and the attention of the constitutional effort. I'm going to talk about this in further detail. So, now that we have covered the reasons why we're talking about public charge, I'm going to go deeper into the details of how public charge works today, because now it's more limited now that the Trump's administration rules are no longer in effect. So the rule analyzes a totality of circumstances, which means that immigration officers have to consider all of the circumstances of a person, including their age, their income, health, education or skills, their family situation, and they should also consider the sponsor's affidavit of support or contract. The immigrant officers should also consider the use of certain public services as part of the public charge, but the only public benefits considered in a public charge test are, first of all, cash assistance programs that provide ongoing payments, for example, SSI or TANF, called Colorado Works, or long-term institutional care at government expense. This might be Medicaid, for example. But even if these programs are authorized of cash assistance or long-term institutional care in the past, you still have the possibility of showing that you might not become public charge in the future. The immigration officers should consider the totality of the circumstances when they're going through your application, and that also includes, again, the age, the income, the health, education, the family that you should support or that supports you, and the positive factors can balance out the negative impacts. Also, the family members, including the children, can apply for the public benefits that help them thrive without them having more public charge for someone else in the family. However, there is an exception, and that is if it depends on the cash assistance, like SSI or TANF, by any member of your family, you may be considered that this is the only source of support of the applicant. But the rest of the programs, including those for housing, assistance, Medicaid, etc., those are not considered public charge. So, once again, the only programs of public benefit that are considered for public charge are cash assistance and long-term institutional care at government expenses. All the rest of the programs are not considered. So the rest of the programs on the right-hand side are safe for all the immigrants that can apply for without any consequence for the immigrant status, current or future. And now we're going to be talking about who does public charge apply to, because it doesn't apply to all immigrants. So public charge applies to some immigrants that are applying for the permanent resident status, a green card, or a visa to enter the United States. And the lawful permanent residents may also face a public charge test if they leave the US for over 180 days or 6 months, and then they seek to re-enter. But there's no public charge test for a lot of immigrants. The public charge does not apply to humanitarian immigrants such as refugees, asylees, many survivors of trafficking, domestic violence, or other serious crimes. It also doesn't apply to lawful permanent residents that are renewing their green cards. They don't have to face the test. And also, it doesn't apply for immigrants applying for citizenship, or when an immigrant that already has a status is applying for the citizenship. And these slides say basically the same thing as the previous slide, but there's just another way of thinking through of who this might apply. Citizens, it does not apply. If you already have the green card, it also doesn't apply. But if you leave for more than 6 months and you want to come back, it might apply. You might have to do the test. You might want to speak to an expert before you leave. But also, if you have a humanitarian status, it doesn't apply. But if you're planning to apply on a residence card based on family, in this case, the public charge might apply. But let's remember, it's important to remember that there's no problem about your family using health, housing, and nutrition programs just like SNAP. So what actions can we take to reduce the chilling effects and to spread the word about access to public benefits for families? One is that you can know the facts, learn the facts about public charge, and make sure that you fight the fear with facts. You can also learn the key messages and the resources available for immigrant families and share this information with your communities and your networks, and we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. And if you want to advocate, you can also sign up to receive our action alerts at hungerfreecolorado.org/advocate. And there we will be sharing updates about when we have opportunities to advocate for access programs for immigrant communities and more. And I'm going to add one more, is that you can also document the harm, the fear that was created with the changes of the Trump administration, because those stories of the community are really important to advocate to improve the situation and to explain to people in power how public policies can affect our communities that way. And now I'm going to talk more about the key messages that we can all learn and share. And so I will be analyzing each and one of them with more detail. First of all, public charge does not apply to everyone. So as we've been talking about this, refugees, asylees, many survivors of trafficking, domestic violence, and other serious crimes, and many other humanitarian immigrants are not affected. Also, lawful permanent residents or people with green cards, they do not face a public charge test unless they leave the US for more than 180 days and seek to re-enter. And also, there's no test for public charge when one applies for citizenship. Most public benefits do not affect a person's immigration status. And the next benefits are not considered in a decision of public charge, and those are programs with care, housing, including SNAP, WIC, school food programs, cash payments for a particular purpose, for example, energy assistance or childcare. That's not part of public charge. Also, emergency assistance, including the pandemic and COVID-19, such as tests or vaccines or payment controls and impact payments, they're also not part of it. And financial assistance with help with food are also not part of public charge. Service to food banks, Medicaid, and other programs of health services are not considered, only if those are for really long term, such as housing for the elderly, but also benefits gained like veterans assistance or retirement is also not considered as part of the public charge. So it's safe for immigrants to qualify for all of these programs. And the benefits that are not humanitarian used by the family members will not affect your immigrant status. So the members of your family, including children, They can apply for the public benefits that help them thrive. This will not affect public charge. The only exception is if they depend in cash assistance, like SSI or TANF, received by the family members as your only source of support, because that could be canceled in a public charge test. And your personal information is protected. Federal and state law are generally protecting the privacy of the people that are applying or that receive public services and benefits. The applications for public programs should not request information about the immigrant status from people that are not asking for benefits for themselves, services for themselves. You only need to give out the information that is necessary in the form, in the application. And the agencies might only share information with government agencies with the sole purpose of executing their programs, with very limited exceptions. Okay, so I know that this was a lot of information, but that's not a problem. If you're still processing all the material, we also have resources that give out an overview of the public charge, and this gives also resources about how families can access food programs in Colorado, and these materials are available in hungerfreecolorado.org/public charge, or Carga Pública in Spanish, and they will also be included in an email, in a follow-up email that you will all receive after this presentation. So now I'm going to pass the mic over to Zaira so she can share more about the food resources in Colorado. Thank you very much, Anya. Hi, good morning. My name is Zaira Diaz, and I'm a bilingual specialist in food resources. Today, I'm going to be talking with you about food resources to which you can access. And in the state of Colorado, there's a lot of food resources available for immigrants. The access to nutritious food is linked to good health. So if you can't afford for the food that you need, please do look into the resources that can help you out. Using these programs will not hurt your immigration status now or in the future. No food program or nutrition program is considered in the public charge rule. WIC is a free federal nutrition programs that provides nutrition information by a professional for families of low risk, or also by someone who's been registered for an expert registered for families of high risk. It also offers food and resources with WIC Shopper, which you can use to buy specific food, and cash to buy produce. The assignation for produce by WIC is higher during the summer. WIC also offers support for pumping for breastfeeding. WIC is a program of eligible income that are pregnant or are in their postpartum, infants and children up to 5 years old. WIC welcomes all caregivers, parents, grandparents, foster parents, or any caregiver of a child that's below the age of 5. They can receive WIC for their children. Many families don't realize that they are eligible to receive WIC, and houses with low to medium income, or houses that receive Medicaid, SNAP, or TANF, or that participate in the federal nutrition distribution program, have eligible resources to receive WIC. The differences are an important component to receive this program, and you can to request an appointment, you can look up coloradowicsignup.com. The program of summer meals, also known as summer meals, serves no-cost meals and snacks to all children 18 and younger without consideration of their immigration status when school is out of session. Schools, private organizations, nonprofits, religious communities and local governments can sponsor the program and serve food, summer meals in camps, places, religious places, programs, recreative activities, or any other place where children gather, parks. If any program is located in a community where at least 50% of the children qualify for summer meals or food or school meals for free, children can receive these free meals without having to fill in any paperwork. The program can be used through the summer months when school is out of session. To locate the places that participate in the program of summer meals, you can visit the website kidsfoodfinder.org. You can type in your address or your zip code, and you will be able to find the places with summer meals closest to you. You can also send a text message to 877-877 with the word food or the word comida. Most schools in Colorado provide nutritionally balanced breakfast and lunch through the National School Lunch Program. So the application for school meals or for free or at reduced cost offers for young people during school while school is in session. The program of National School Lunch coincides with the academic school year. During the school year 2020-2021, schools offered free lunch to every one of their students without the need of filling in a form, thanks to flexibilities on behalf of the federal program due to the pandemic. For the 2021-2022, schools will be able to continue to provide free lunches and meals, but it's important to have to fill in the paperwork. Applying for these meals helps both the families and the schools. Families will be receiving reduced fees, bus passes, assistance for public services, and many other benefits. While you apply for this, families will also be helping out their school and their school district because they receive additional funds and they qualify for grants and other food programs. To fill in this application this summer can also help families access more benefits, more food benefits with EBT or pandemic. EBT provides additional funds for food when schools were closed or in a remote or hybrid learning model due to COVID-19. To receive the benefit PEBT, the students must be eligible to receive meals for free or reduced price, and they should also be enrolled in a National School Lunch Program, NSLP. The children under 6 can qualify by being part of a family that participates in SNAP. The funds of this program will be distributed with a card that's either SNAP EBT or PEBT if you are active in the food stamp, also known as SNAP. If your children were active in the National School Lunch Program during 2020 and 2021, the cards of PEBT have started to arise, and they will continue to be mailed through the month of July. It's important that you keep this card. Future payment of PEBT will be deposited in this same card. If you have a child that's under 6, make sure that you apply for SNAP or food stamps as soon as possible to receive additional funds of PEBT this summer. Children that go to school can continue to apply for benefits PEBT this summer. For more information, you can visit the website cdhs.colorado.gov/P-EBT. In the state of Colorado, there are sites for community food distribution. Places like churches or community centers, schools, and healthcare centers can administer these food pantries or food banks. Eligibility for these depends on the specific geographic area. Some places can only serve a particular community, but many are open to any community member. To be able to find the closest site to you, you can visit the website hungerfreecolorado.org/find-food. Okay, so now I will be showing a bit about how you can find the closest resources to you using our website. Okay, so first you will have to log in to our website, hungerfreecolorado.org. There you will be able to change the website to whatever language you prefer to use. I will be using the Spanish right now. You can click on the tab Find Food. Here in this website, you will be able to find information about available resources in the state of Colorado. But for right now, we will be focusing on our map of food resources. And this one you will find in the blue tab. Once you're on the map, you will be able to type in your address or your zip code. And then you will be able to select whichever resources you want to find. We will be choosing mobile food, pantry, and pantries. Click on search. And in this map, you will be able to see the information of those resources that are closest to you. For example, the address, the phone number, the opening hours, and if there's any requirements. Well, thank you very much for your time. I hope that this information has been useful. I will pass on the microphone over to my colleague, Cristina, who will be talking a little bit about the SNAP program. Thank you very much, Zaira. Hi, everyone. My name is Cristina, and I'm an assistant, a bilingual assistant, and I work at the call center, and I assist with clients in filling in their SNAP application. SNAP is a program of supplement food assistance, but it's also known as food stamp. Immigrant families can also be eligible to receive SNAP assistance. SNAP gives you funds on an EBT card each month. This is like a debit card, and each month you can buy the whatever food you choose with this card. If you are eligible for this benefit, this will not hurt your current or future immigrant status. This is because SNAP is not considered in a public charge test. You may qualify for this benefit if you or a family member are a humanitarian immigrant. That means that you have a visa or a permit for the US, which includes permits of refugees, asylees, or for survivors of trafficking, domestic violence, or other serious crimes. To know whether your visa or your permit is humanitarian, please contact a legal attorney. You may also qualify for SNAP if someone in your family, if you or your family member are a legal permanent resident under age 18 or have residency for 5+ years. You may also qualify if you or someone in your family household are a US citizen. we have to make sure that we understand that not everyone has to be a US citizen. It's okay to only apply for the family members that apply. If you have US citizen children, you may apply for SNAP because they have the rights for this public benefit. We will see an example of how to fill in an application in just a second. To apply for SNAP, you may fill an application at colorado.gov/peak. To begin, you will have to provide the following information: your full name, your birth date, your address, phone number, your total income per month, and the expenses of each month. Peak only requests certain expenses like bills and rent. You should also include the name and birth date of each person in your family. If you live in a home with family members or if you rent a space with someone else, you don't have to give out their information, just include the information of the people that are in your family and those with whom you share food with. After including the information of each member, select only the members of your household for which you are applying SNAP benefits. You will have to provide the social security number of these individuals. After sending an application, there will be an interview required with a county representative. Most of the counties will send an announce of when this interview will happen. You will have similar questions asked in the interview that are in the SNAP form that you already filled in. You don't have to reveal your immigrant status. If they ask you, you can say, I'm not applying for benefits for yourself, but only for your children. In some cases, the county will request verifications. This includes checks or IDs. And also, in very few cases, it's possible that the county might request information about your sponsor if you are a permanent legal resident. And if you have questions, specific questions about these steps and process, we recommend that you contact one of us of Hunger Free Colorado. We will see here an example of a case that has a family that has mixed status household and that are eligible to apply for SNAP. For example, a couple without legal status that have two child citizens that were born in the US. This couple can apply. They fill out the SNAP application for their household. They give their personal information, their name, their birth dates, address, phone number, and also the information about their income and their work. If either one of them receives payment in cash, they also have to report that as income. In the application, there will be the option of only selecting the option of receiving benefits for the children that are citizens. You should also include for this the name, birth date, and social security number for each child. After sending the application, they should also await the interview, and during the interview, they can clarify and mention to the technician that they're only applying for benefits for their children, and then proceed with the questions on behalf of the technician. In some cases, as I just said, when the county will ask for verifications, and in some instances, they also ask for a verification of ID that aren't citizens. And again, for more information on SNAP or to fill in any application, please visit colorado.gov/peak. And thanks again very much for your time. Now, Anya will give you more information about resources. Thank you, Christina. In this slide, we also have more links, more websites that you can visit to learn more. The first one is our website that has how to find food resources, we also have another website with public charge. After this presentation, we're going to set up the recording and the materials right there in that website. Another resource that's great for information on public charge and beyond is protectingimmigrantfamilies.org. That is a national campaign that has a lot of resources and information. We also have keepyourbenefits.org, which is also good with a tool that you can use to research your own situation, do personalized screening. And lastly, we have immigrationlawhelp.org, where you can find low-cost legal help options. And now I'm gonna pass the mic over to Victoria to see what her perspective is on behalf of the county. Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Anya. As she was mentioning, my name is Victoria Aguilar, and I work with Human Services with Denver, and I'm going to speak a little bit about the resources that we have in the department that might be helpful for you. And I'm also going to answer a few questions that we usually get for public charge. So the first thing that I wanted to speak about is public charge and food banks. A lot of the questions that we get is that if I access mobile food banks or TFAP, which is the Emergency Food Assistance Program, through Denver Human Services, will public charge be assessed? The answer is no. Our volunteers, staff at any mobile food bank will never ask your legal status as an eligibility criteria to receive emergency food assistance. Also, any information that is collected or that you give us is never going to be shared with any outside governmental agency. So we want to reassure you of that. Also, I wanted to mention and have the dates here of when we have our mobile food banks, and we have them in 2 places. The information is here, and we will also provide it with your follow-up email. But I also wanted to say that in these food banks, you will be never asked for an ID. It's absolutely mobile, and everyone is more than welcome. I also wanted to speak a little bit about the emergency assistance resources that we have in our department. We have emergency shelter. If you're going through a crisis or a moment where you might require temporary shelter, we provide the service. We also provide rental assistance. If you're renting a place and you cannot make your payments, we offer assistance to pay the rent. We also have assistance for eviction or mortgage. If you're at risk of being evicted, or a neighbor or any family member, you can always contact with us because we have this kind of assistance. Or if you're an owner of a house and you need help with your mortgage, we also offer that service. We also have burial assistance for people or family members that have passed away. And we have services for family reunification. If you find yourself here in Denver and you need to be reunified with a family member in a different state, we have that kind of emergency assistance to regather with your family. This is our website where you can access all this information. We also wanted to show that there are services like assistance for bills. We also have assistance for reimbursement of the taxes that you have paid on your property. But this is our website, and the following is also the application. As you can see, it's very easy. It's an easy application. It takes you from 3 to 5 minutes to fill in, and one of our technicians will be in contact with you after you fill out the form. That is very simple, and the technician might be able to help you after you fill in the form. So some of the questions that we get is, if I receive emergency rental assistance of the services that I just mentioned, either paying out with rent, helping out with rent, or eviction in the Human Services Department, will this be assessed for public charge? The answer is no. Rental assistance is not considered for public charge. Additionally, funding for emergency rental assistance program comes from a local city fund and is not supplemented with federal dollars. So because there's no federal money involved, this assistance is not considered in the moment of application for public charge. There's also there's no citizenship requirements to access any of the services that I mentioned. Also, we wanted to make sure that you and everyone that's listening, a lot of the questions that we get is, if I am worried about public charge, should I still apply for SNAP, Medicaid, or other resources? And I want to reassure you that we understand that you might be scared to access any of these vital services. But as long as the information that you provide on the application is completely accurate, our intake workers will be able to inform you of the services that you are actually eligible for, or those that you may not be eligible for based on your current status. But they are trained to be able to inform you of the services and resources for which you will be eligible. Keep in mind that you, as a caretaker or parent, if you don't have a legal status and you live in a mixed household, like Christina was describing, other members of the household may still be eligible for these vital services. One last thing that I wanted to share is that it's very important that you always consult with a trusted immigration lawyer who can advise you on your specific immigration case as it relates to public charge. We know that immigration law is very complicated and complex. We also know that a lot of families have very specific cases, different immigration status, and so it's very important that if you have a question about your specific case, that you can consult with a trusted immigration lawyer about public charge. And now I want to share a little video about a legal fund for immigrants here in Denver. And so after the video, I'll be sharing more information.
In U.S. federal immigration proceedings, you are not guaranteed legal counsel, even if you are a child seeking asylum or detained. As a result, 71% of immigrants in detention and appearing at the Aurora Immigration Court go unrepresented. Colorado received immigration court cases for more than 4,800 people in 2018. Two-thirds lacked legal representation. Yet 87% of Metro Denver residents support government-funded legal defense for all, regardless of legal status. The Denver Immigrant Legal Services Fund was created to ensure access to immigration representation or affirmative immigration relief for Denver residents.
In August 2017, I signed the Denver Public Safety Enforcement Priorities Act into law, memorializing existing city policies and practices, in addition to establishing new policies that we hope will reduce fear within the immigrant community and clarify for everyone that Denver will not engage in immigration enforcement.
Immigrants with legal representation are 10 times more likely to be able to stay in the country with legal defense. Through the Denver Immigrant Legal Services Fund, these organizations provide services to immigrants facing deportation who could not otherwise afford representation.
If it weren't for them, right now it would be a very sad situation for me and my family.
Yo no lo podía creer, en tantas cosas, tanta ayuda. Es increíble, mucha gente no sabe. Yo creo que todo migrante que llega aquí, que no pase por esta organización, pasa mucho trabajo.
The fund has helped over 270 Denver residents and their families over the past 2 years. Immigrants make up more than 16% of the Denver population, contributing to our culture and economy. The Denver Immigrant Legal Services Fund was established to protect our communities by ensuring all community members the rights that were granted to them by the U.S. and Colorado constitutions, working to ensure children stay with their families, and fostering trust between community members and city officials. The Denver Immigrant Legal Services Fund is generously supported by donations, the Vera Institute of Justice, the Denver Foundation, and the City of Denver. For more information, visit denverfoundation.org. In U.S. federal immigration proceedings.
Bueno, gracias, Anya.
Okay, thank you, Anya, for showing the video. So here I've also put in the contact of the organizations that receive the legal fund. And if you have a specific question about public charge, don't hesitate to contact these organizations that are part of the legal fund in Denver. Also, here's my contact information. As I mentioned, I work in the Human Services Department in Denver, and we're here to help you and make sure that you're connected, that you move on with your family. And thank you very much for your time. Let's go back to Anya. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the good section of questions and answers. You can both ask via the icon that says Q&A in your screen, and there we will be answering all the questions that we may. We have until 11. If we were not able to respond all of their questions, we're also going to go through all of the unanswered questions and try to address those in the follow-up email. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we can get started.
Okay, muy bien.
Okay,
Vamos a comenzar con la
let's begin with the first question from Lady. She says, considering the last 4 years and considering that politics is volatile, what can happen if a Republican or Trump wins the presidency? Could they go back to the concept of public charge that they had in that administration? My question is because I understand that this is protected nowadays, but can another government readjust the laws or the rules? That's a great question, and there's no simple answer, but what I would say is that in the last 4 years, we learned a lot. First, that it's possible to undo those legal rules that make those changes, but also to change the rules through a process like Trump's administration did. It has to go through several very slow steps, like having a period for public commentary, then they will face legal challenges. And so there's processes to fight against these kinds of changes in the future. And the other thing is that we never have the guarantee that it's all going to stay the same, but what we can do is advocate for policies that protect people. And so if there's an opportunity for public commentary about immigration law and rules, it's important that we all respond and react, and that we share what we know and the stories of our communities. The following question is, if there's children in the family that don't have Social Security, can they access SNAP? Okay, so the question is, if children don't have Social Security, right, that they don't have, can they apply for SNAP? Generally, no. The children do have to have a legal status to access SNAP. In some cases, it takes a little bit for a baby to get their Social Security number. In that case, the baby will be eligible for SNAP. The baby can qualify they were born here or if they have permanent residence, and there's going to be like a window to turn in their social security number, because we understand that there's a wait period to receive that number. Next question is, it's in English, so I'll read in English.
Signs up for or certifies for free or reduced price school meals, are they automatically eligible signed up for PEBT, SNAP, and WIC?
Oh, no.
No. So eligibility for SNAP to school meals goes in the other direction. So if a student receives SNAP, they automatically qualify for school meals. If the student qualifies for school meals and they fill in the application, they will be able to qualify for PBT this summer if it's a temporary program, but that application doesn't automatically lead to other benefits aside from PBT. Okay, and general emergency assistance from the Human Services Department, is that considered as general assistance under the public charge test? And I think we're gonna reach our 2-minute mark as well. So as I was mentioning, the emergency assistance services, they don't come from a federal fund, they come from a local or city fund specifically for Denver. So those resources will not be considered as part of the public charge. They won't be considered, partially because they're not federal dollars, but also because citizenship is not a requirement to be able to access those services. Okay. So yes, now we've reached the 2-minute mark.
Why do they ask for the income of the sponsee? And will this affect the application?
Okay, creo que está preguntando.
Okay, so I believe they're asking why sometimes in the application process for SNAP, why they ask for the sponsor information. That's only sometimes. It happens if someone is applying for benefits when they have the permanent residence and a sponsor. In that case, the sponsor, when they signed a sponsor, they were saying, I will be supporting this person. So because it's part of the federal law that the county has to ask for the income information of the sponsor as well to keep that in consideration for SNAP application, there are cases in which the sponsor may also qualify for the stamps. They're not going to include that, but in some cases, they might ask for that information on behalf of the sponsor, but in many cases, they won't be asking for that information. It's only if a permanent residence is needing for the benefits and they can qualify. So it's one of those cases that's a little bit more complex. If someone has a complicated case like that, you can always reach out to our navigators at Hunger Free, and they have a lot of experience in those cases.